Archaeologists discovered four 1900-year-old swords.
One of the most significant discoveries ever made in biblical archaeology.
People are claiming this site houses Noah's Ark.
Arguably the most interesting, most sophisticated mathematical document from the ancient world.
Get ready, folks. Today, we will be looking at the most startling discoveries from around the globe.
Discovered a shipwreck off the tiny island of Antikythera in Greece.
Gear up and let's get started. Number 1. Has Noah's Ark been found? There has long been a debate among scientists about Noah's Ark. The Jurapanar Formation has been under the public eye for some time. While some people religiously believe that it looks like the resting site of the Ark, scientists do not agree. They think that the site is very much a product of a natural phenomenon. But recent discoveries on the site have made scientists rethink their stances.
Many scientists believe it's just an unusual rock formation, but some investigators claim that, amazingly, it's the physical remains of Noah's Ark.
Researchers now believe that they have traced human activity back to the site dated between 3,000 to 5,000 years ago. The global flood came around 4,350 years ago, putting the recently found human activity just in the bracket. They claim that they have merely found human activity at a site that has been long known as the Ark's resting site. But here is why it is interesting. They found traces of clayey materials, marine materials, and seafood on the site. The flood might have buried sea creatures, fossils, miles of sediment, and other dead things all jumbled up near this unique formation. Despite these findings, there is not enough proof to decisively claim this is indeed Noah's Ark. Number 2. The magical pool. The Pool of Siloam, bigger than an Olympic pool, holds quite the attraction today, the same way it did back in the day. After all, this place is an important biblical location. It is believed to have been the place where Jesus healed a blind man.
Jesus was here too when he had to purify his body.
The site is over 2,000 years old and was constructed by King Hezekiah. It gave the city of David running water and a chance for people to purify themselves. There are stairs leading up to the giant pool, but it is a little far away from the temple. But here is where it got interesting. The researchers didn't find one side of the pool, and they think that the king only built 3 sides. The experts aren't sure why that is the case yet. They think it is also why the stairs leading to the pool were built on one side too. Number 3. Abraham's Gate. This is Abraham's Gate, known as the oldest man-made archway in human history. It is believed to be the site where Abraham most likely stood and passed through this very gate in his time.
Stone Age to Roman times. 10 monumental megaliths, oriented north-south with an altar-type structure in the middle.
The gate was found completely by chance in the last excavations of the season in the 1980s. The archaeologists had not even intended to dig this far, but then they stumbled upon a strange curve. Excited, they started to dig more and found a complete man-made archway that was once the oldest in human history. That title has now been snatched by the Tellerani Gate, but this gate has its own flexes. It is about 4,000 years old and incredibly rare because it dates back to the age of patriarchs. The gate is so fragile that it could melt in the first rain. The researchers have now put up a plastic cover to protect this magnificent historic structure. Number 4. The Layer of Ash. This site is known as Khirbet el-Makatil. Archaeologists have been working hard to bring forth one interesting discovery after another at this site. All of those findings have hinted that Khirbet el-Makatil is the ancient Canaanite city of Ai. According to the Old Testament, it is claimed that this city was destroyed by Joshua and the Israelites. But here is why this particular find is interesting. The team was on their last days of the excavation, digging up the walls of the ancient city. Suddenly, they stumbled upon a small area with a heavy layer of ash just above the bedrock. As per the records, the city of Ai was believed to have been hit by a massive fire. The Israelites burned about 3 cities and I was one of them, proving that the event did occur. Plus, there were also pieces of Bronze Age pottery found in the bedrock, hinting that it dates back to the exact time that it all happened. Number 5. The Cyrus Cylinder. The Cyrus Cylinder is quite a unique find. It is about 2,600 years old and was like a press release to the public that Cyrus is now the new leader. His kingdom spanned from Turkey in the west to Afghanistan in the east, and this cylinder offers clues dating back to that time. It was created in 539 BCE, presumably by Cyrus, after he took over his new position. It basically praises Cyrus as a leader. The cylinder had many lines of inscriptions that the scientists have since decoded. One special sentence promotes the diversity and tolerance of different cultures and religions. It was an important rule that Cyrus picked that helped him rule half the world for 200 years. The writing system that the officials used on the cylinder was pretty special. They used a stylus or something like chopsticks to press into the clay that is nearly dry. These different strokes of the stylus ended up making the cuneiform script used before 3000 BC. Number 6. Regrowing an ancient tree. Scientists have grown a date tree from seeds that are nearly 2,000 years old. A few years ago, archaeologists stumbled upon a jar of date seeds in Masada. They weren't any ordinary dates, but something that were praised a lot by the writers of ancient times. They were transported all over the Roman Empire because they were sweet, dry, and had medicinal qualities. So, the scientists thought, why not? Let's plant them. Next thing you know, there are now a handful of trees sprouted from seeds that were unearthed from different archaeological sites. The seeds were called Adam, Jonah, Uriel, Boaz, Judith, and Hannah. This new one is a female that dates back to 2,000 years of age. A lot of these trees are sprouting over 600 dates. What's different about these dates from modern dates is that they are originally from this land and date back to the time of Jesus. There are a lot more trees that are expected to be grown on the same land. Number 7. The Mystery of the Beth Sheharim. This city, called the Beth Sheharim, was excavated in the early 20th century. They found over 30 burial cave systems spread all over this ancient city. But here's what's fascinating. The experts found a gate and a guard tower at the site that baffled the scientists. Why did this city need to be protected? What were they hiding? Well, they found an ancient slab of glass weighing around 9 tons. Yes, it looks nothing like a glass, but the data says otherwise. Some people think that the glass was a result of a defective glass factory, but why would they build a glass factory in the middle of a burial cave? The other theory is far more believable. People claim that the glass-making recipe was actually the work of the Jews, which was secretly passed down from father to son. They think that the old temple had giant windows inside of it.
With actual giant glass windows inside of it.
After its destruction, one window survived the chaos. So, the Jews moved the window in the burial caves of this ancient city. It is probably why the city was guarded by watchtowers. As for its appearance, it must have gotten contaminated during the old temple's destruction, which is why this slab looks more like concrete and less like glass. But that is all speculation at this point. Number 8. The mathematical document. This small tablet is the Plimpton 322, and it has left the scientists in a state of wonderment. This small piece of rock is around 3,800 years old and shows hints of Pythagorean triangles. While we have the concept of a theorem, they had cases where the theorem was held true. This document is believed to be quite sophisticated and is being called the trigonometric table of the old times. It tells us that the ancient civilizations understood mathematics far better than the scientists expected. There are thousands more tablets found in Iraq, and scientists believe that there are more hidden underground. They can shed more light on how Babylons saw the world back then. Number 9. the Roman swords. At a cave overlooking the Dead Sea, the archaeologists uncovered something sensational. The group found 4 Roman swords in great condition and completely preserved. They were tucked in their wooden scabbards with leather that surrounded the weapons. They also had ropes that were probably used by the soldiers of the time. The swords are nearly 2,000 years old and are expected to be connected to some war or rebellion that took place in the region. The cave wasn't found to be the site of war. Instead, the experts speculate that the cave was used as a hiding site for the weapons to be taken out for future battles. There have been a lot of swords found in the region, but archaeologists are amazed at this group's condition. They have never found swords preserved like this before, making it a fascinating find. Number 10. The ancient computer. When this giant piece of rock was discovered, nobody batted an eye. But then upon a closer look, it was found that the rock had gear wheels fitted on it. The scientists were left baffled because why were there precision gears on it? Anything from ancient Greece simply shouldn't have gear wheels. It is around 2,000 years old, and only 8 fragments were uncovered by experts. They think that it is a calculating machine that was used to predict the cycle of the cosmos.
As a calculating machine that would calculate the theories they had. They had astronomical theories.
Later on, further inspection proved this theory. There were lines and lines of inscription on the machine that told the scientists how it worked. This made the machine an interesting find. Number 11. The biblical city of Giza. This place, right here, is believed to be the biblical city of Giza. What's fascinating is that it is quite well preserved. When you take a tour through these ancient ruins, you will find a reconstructed model on the signboard, giving you an idea of what the place looked like. But you don't need to see that to get a glimpse of the ancient ruins. You can spot the 3 bedrooms, the entrance, and the gate that is expected to be King Solomon's gate. There is also the stone bench, where the elders of the city used to make all the important decisions. Number 12. The oldest gate discovered. About 35 miles from Tel Aviv, the scientists discovered something historical. The water company was just planning on putting down a water pipe when they found a bizarre gate in the industrial zone. The gate was found to be about 5,500 years old. An ancient city had been unearthed in the previous excavations, but the finding of the old gate was pretty special because it is the first largest gate dating back to the Old Bronze Age. It opened up into a passageway that ultimately led into the ancient city. The gate stood tall between 2 towers. The Tellerani Gate is about 300 years older than the last known oldest gate, which was also found somewhere close by. Number 13. The mysterious Queen. Queen Sheba is a woman who is mentioned in almost all Abrahamic religions. She is believed to be the person who met King Solomon in Jerusalem. She had heard all about the stories of the king and decided to meet him and test his knowledge. So she took her caravan of camels and met the king. There, she asked him a bunch of hard questions and riddles and was surprised to find that the king had overwhelmed her. The problem is that historians are not sure about whether she existed or not. The ancient city has been unearthed from the excavation, but her remains were never found. It has left a big question mark. Number 14. The Manpa Steely. A stele is a stone shaped to stand in an upright position and carries an inscription on it. A good example of a stele is the gravestones used in the modern times, but this stele is quite special.
A stele is a stone shaped to stand upright and bear an inscription.
It is easily 10.5 feet long, with inscriptions on both sides. It dates back to 1200 BC and explains how the Merneptah and his army fought against the Canaans. The translation shows the 4 names who he defeated, 3 marked by city symbols and 1 marked by the symbol of the people. The latter is where the name Israel was mentioned, stating that it was a tribe rather than a city. Many scholars refer to this stele as the Israeli stele, claiming that it describes ancient Israel. But that isn't entirely the case. The Steely only mentions Israel, and that too, as a tribe. Number 15. The Strange Fragments. This group of archaeologists discovered pieces of parchment in a cave near the Dead Sea. But they weren't any random pieces of paper. No, they are fragments of a biblical book. In the past 60 years, this is the first time that archaeologists have dug up such pieces in an excavation. The parchment is written in Greek, but the word God is mentioned clearly in Hebrew. This is expected to be written at the time when Jews were returning from Babylonian captivity. Number 16. A treasure map. Hidden near the caves of the Dead Sea were jars of scrolls that were found by a shepherd and his wandering flock. They were found to be nearly 2,000 years old. There were a lot of findings about how the Jewish people lived back in the day, but one discovery has kept everyone puzzled. There is one scroll in the mix that is made up entirely of copper. This metal was so hardened over the years that it could not be folded. The metal scroll is engraved with inscriptions and 64 clues, hinting at a possibly vast treasure in multiple locations. There are many theories about where the treasure is hidden, but nobody has been able to trace it. This has got many people thinking whether it is all a myth cooked by the old people. Did it even exist? These are all questions that nobody can answer right now. Number 17. The City of Tyre. This city is called Tyre. It is located nearly 50 miles from Lebanon's capital, Beirut. The reason why Tyre is famous is because of Ezekiel. Bible students believe that he had a prophecy where he foresaw the downfall of the city, and his prediction allegedly turned out to be true. The city was captured by Alexander the Great in 332 BC. After the siege that went on for 7 long months, the city was destroyed and left in this eerie state. Number 18. The Strange Gate Complex. Back in the 1970s, a series of multiple excavations took place in the old city of Jerusalem. In one of those excavations, a mysterious structure was unearthed. This structure gathered quite the attention of the public.
Josephus wrote that adjoining and on the inner side of these towers, which lay to the north of it, was the king's palace.
People think that it is the place where Pontius Pilate tried Jesus. What the experts know is that Jesus was put on trial at a place called Praetorium. It is where all the main decisions are made. It has long been a debate on whether Jews were the ones behind the big call. That might be under the microscope, but it is widely believed that the trial took place somewhere near Jerusalem. This suggests that this is the most possible location where the deed happened, but no one can know for sure, and there is not enough evidence to come up with a decisive claim. Number 19. The Sacred Ring. Archaeologists discovered a piece of clay that is over 2,700 years old, but that is not the most interesting part about this discovery. Experts claim that it is inscribed with a biblical king's seal.
This is so tiny, it's just 1 centimeter, and it was found during the wet sifting.
And it is the first time that a seal impression of a Judean king came to light. The bulla is around 1/2 inch wide, but the experts think that it is not part of the ring. It once used to be attached to a papyrus document signed by Hezekiah. Around some time, it was thrown in the dump out of a royal building. That's where the archaeologists found it. The inscription is not the only thing on the ring. There is an impression of a winged sun on there too. Number 20. The Rare Inscription. This archaeological site gave a special gift to the experts, a piece of pottery with a rare and unknown inscription on it. The findings didn't end there. The experts then found a jar handle with the name Jerubbaal. Jerubbaal is the English translation of the word written on the handle. The experts speculate that Jerubbaal is the name of the person who owned the pot. But here is where it gets interesting. It could have been anybody, but the time and location of the shard traces back to the biblical figure Gideon, who was also called Jerubbaal. This is the first time that the name has been found in an archaeological context. Plus, the inscriptions are traced back to the period of the Judges. Now, That's an extremely rare find. Then again, it could just be another person named Jerubbaal living at the same time as the biblical figure. Number 21. The ultimate battleground. This place is the Megiddo that has seen a lot of action, but its story hasn't ended yet. The hills of Megiddo is a 35-acre mound and 200 feet high. From Egyptians to Assyrians, empires ran a battlefield on this very ground for thousands of years. It is believed that nearly all the ancient empires fought in this area. What's interesting is that archaeologists have dug up 26 layers of old cities here. Just imagine how this place must have been knocked down and rebuilt again and again, multiple times in its history. But this place hasn't quite finished its role yet. It is believed by some religions that this will be the site where Armageddon will be fought, the final battle against good and evil. Number 22. The Black Obelisk. Standing at a height of 7 feet, this is the Black Obelisk. It is a monument that has been carved from black limestone and celebrates the 31 years of successful military campaign run by King Shalmaneser III and his chief minister, Dayan Assur. The strange thing about the obelisk is the weird structure on its head. Out of the 20 panels, there is one that shows Jehu, the Israelite king, giving gifts to King Shalmaneser III, a prominent figure in biblical literature. Number 23. The Town of Nineveh. This is the ancient city of Nineveh, the capital of Assyria. Nineveh is mentioned in the scripture as the city that turned away from the sins through the warning of God. It is also considered as the place where Jonah was sent as a prophet. Around 6 gates of the city have been excavated. Apart from that, the suite of Sennacherib's palace, the mound of Nebi-Yunusji, and houses grouped around a mosque have also been unearthed. Number 24. The Capernaum. This is Capernaum. It is believed that Jesus was born in Bethlehem and grew up in Nazareth, but much of his time as an adult was spent at Capernaum. There are a lot of mentions of this city in the Gospels, about 19 times to be exact. This is also the place where the miracles sent to Jesus came to light. You'd think that these miracles would be enough to convince the whole city to convert, but that was far from true. The majority of the city was against his teachings. Number 25. The Moabit Stone. This stone is also called the Moabit Stone. It has an ancient inscription by the king of Moab, Mesha. This is why it is also referred to as the Mesha Stone.
Begins by saying, "I am Mesha, son of Chemosh, king of Moab."
The inscription was done late in the 9th century BCE. Some parts of the inscription give a little insight into how Mesha fought against ancient Israel and defeated it. But the sad part is that the last 5 lines of the inscription are not available. They were broken, and the scientists have not been able to decode them. Number 26. Ancient Shiloh. For many years, archaeologists have been focused on the city of Shiloh. They have done a number of excavations that have uncovered a number of ruins and artifacts that trace back to the Shiloh events mentioned in the Bible. Some of those important finds are the ceramic pomegranate, the many animal bones, and a trio of rare altar horns. They are all likely traced back to the time period when the tabernacle was still in Shiloh. The experts also found a huge platform or a large building that they expect is the tabernacle. It has the same dimensions and is from the same time as the tabernacle. Number 27. The Baffling Find. David National Park's new find is enough to puzzle the scientists. They have discovered a large-scale network of ancient channels that run knee-deep into the rock. These channels are around 2,800 years old and date back to the time of the first temple. There are about 2 different groups of channels, about 30 feet apart and are about a foot wide and 1.5 feet deep. Both the channels are almost similar and completely mysterious. Researchers do not think that they were used for sewage since there is no apparent water source visible. They cannot even think of any possible theories because this is the first time a structure like this has been found in the region. What do you think it is? That's all, folks. From Noah's Ark to strange ruins and historic obelisks, we saw some pretty amazing finds today. Which one did you find the most fascinating? What are your thoughts on these archaeological discoveries? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash the like button. And if you are new to the channel, why not subscribe? We have tons more interesting videos coming your way. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.